Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mental Health Festival Asia. Our topic today and also yesterday was pushing boundaries. Now, before we have a small break, we are going to finish off this first half of our second day with a really interactive session. So the session is about questions you always wanted to ask. What really happens in Intellect coaching? Let's see. This session was inspired by a couple of questions, things like how does coaching really work? Who is it for? Should you be seeing a coach or a counselor? What's even the difference? And our panel today will demystify coaching by debunking some myths and answering any questions that you might have. Now, today you get to ask any questions you've always wanted to ask. 3 of Intellect's behavioral health coaches. So Intellect's providers cover 20 countries in Asia as well as globally, and they have a diverse background and are fluent in lots of different languages and dialects. On our panel today, we have 3 of those providers with us, and let me introduce them one by one. First off, we have you are a registered psychologist specializing in the clinical service, as far as I understand. You practice across multinational settings, both in public and in private organizations. And you have a broad range of experiences working with people from all walks of life, and it really enables you to provide support on many areas and offer advice from fresh perspectives. Right now, you're located in Hong Kong, and you hold sessions in English as well as Cantonese. Welcome. We also have Kelly here with us today. Kelly is an award-winning trainer and assessor and a counseling professional. She has more than 50 years of experience delivering Australia-wide trainings in several qualifications, and she has delivered services across Indonesia, Hong Kong, Ghana, and the United States as well, and of course, her home country, Australia. Kelly has also been named Intellect's top coach for 6 consecutive months, including this September, actually. So thanks for joining us today, Kelly. And last, we have myself. I'm also one of Intellect's behavioral health coaches. I have an international background in clinical psychology. I'm originally from Germany, grew up in the US, and right now I live in Indonesia, from where I conduct my sessions with individuals as well as couples across the globe. Okay, you know a little bit about us now, but before we move on, I want to dive into a couple of polls because we want to learn from our audience as well. We've got a big group of people here today. Let me see if I can make this happen. Let's start with the first question. What is your prior experience with coaching or counseling? So please go ahead and give in your votes. Maybe you've never thought about it. Maybe considered it, but never signed up. Have you tried it out once or twice? Have you had multiple sessions, but not previously, but not anymore? Or maybe you've had sessions before and are currently still in some sessions. Okay, the answers are coming in. Votes are coming. Let's see. It seems like most people are saying considered it, but never signed up. Oh, you're in the right place. This is a session for you. I mean, it's a session for everybody, but especially for you. Okay, you get to ask all your questions that you might have. Nobody says never thought about it. That's always good to hear. I'll wait a few more seconds just for some more answers to join in. Okay. Seems like the winner, so to say, here. 36% of us considered it, but never really signed up. Okay, thank you so much. We have another poll because we're curious. As coaches, as psychologists, counselors, we always want to hear more from people. So what we also want to hear is, let me see if I can make it happen. What region are you tuning in from? We got a couple of lists. Oh, okay. Most people from Southeast Asia. We got people from Australia. Perfect for you, Kelly. We got some people in South Asia, East Asia, Europe. Nobody in the Americas today. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for your answers. Now we know a little bit about you as well. Okay. So, as I mentioned, today is an interactive session. We want to hear from you. So, as promised, you can ask any questions you might have about coaching, about therapy, any kind of mental health support, and you can go ahead and put your questions in the Q&A section to your right. So, there's the chat function, then there's the Q&A function. So, if you just open that up, you'll see you can put any questions in, and anybody can vote up your questions and down as you might like. So I'll give you a few minutes to put your questions in. In the meantime, I'd love to hear from you, Kelly and Say. I kind of introduced you like very corporate-y, very official. What else would you like to share about yourself? Let's start with you, Kelly.
Sure, thanks, Linda, and thanks everyone for having me. As Linda pointed out, I am an Australian living in Indonesia. I've been an expat child since I was 11, so I have been traveling around the world in lots of different Asian countries, immersing myself in the culture and really trying to absorb every place I lived in. So that love of traveling has continued, so I'm a bit of a travel bug. I'm a total psychology nerd. I love mental health. I love advocating for it. I love breaking down the stigma. And that's what we're trying to do here at Intellect, is really just make it easy and stigma-free, and making sure that everybody everywhere has access to mental health services and coaching and therapy. And so, yeah, thank you for having me along on this journey. And look, I'm an open book, as I think we all are. We would love to answer your questions and sort of break down anything that you have that might be holding you back from being the best version of yourself. So, yeah, looking forward to answering your questions. Thanks, Linda.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kelly. And how about you, Sivan? What do you want to tell us about yourself?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I am C. I am a registered psychologist now based in Hong Kong. I will thank so much Intellect for allowing me to join this event because I know internet holds the value of making mental health more accessible. The support is there for everyone, and I look forward to talking about the idea of coaching and mental health in this session with you all. Thank you so much, and I can already see some questions coming in.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that transition. I already have them lined up. Why don't we start with the first question? Kelly, I'll just hand it to you. So there are coaches, counselors, psychologists. How are they different or the same or the same? How do I know which one to choose from?
Yeah, I mean, great question. These are all interlinked for sure. However, they have different approaches. So counselors can do things that psychologists can't. Psychologists can do things counselors can't. And coaches are very specific in making sure that your outcomes are tailored to your goals. So when we're talking about coaching and intellect, we're really talking about making sure that you're setting goals and that you're reaching your goals. We're about, driving you forward in whatever areas that you feel like you might be lacking. It's about making the best version of yourself. A lot of people come to intellect coaching wanting support to move up in their job careers. Or it could be something within a relationship issue that they might be facing at home. But coaches really are sort of a driving force in making sure that you're moving forward and that goals are being met. Coaching is also involves the more that you put into it, the more you get out. So there might be some extra work for you to do at home in between sessions. So that's sort of where coaching is a good approach. Counselling is still tailored into that coaching, but counselling is also, it's such a broad question because there's so many different modalities and ways of counselling that the way that I counsel might not be the same as Linda or Suwan. So it's also about finding a counsellor that potentially, do you want to be looking back into your childhood behaviors, or are you looking for more solution focused, goal orientated counseling? So then we move over to psychologists. Psychologists are really, while they kind of encompass the coaching and counseling, psychologists also can do a lot more assessments and a lot more assessment tools with you, and they're trained in that way to be able to do things like a general health questionnaire or a mental health questionnaire, where your coaches and counselors are likely to stay away from that. So yeah, they all very much are interlinked, but they all have sort of a niche as well. So even if you're going to jump on coaching with Intellect, say, there's still going to be aspects of counselling and psychology that's going to come into it, because we still want to find out why you might have those blockers, why you might have the triggers, what might be holding you back from being the best version of yourself. But really, coaching is also about setting those goals and just smashing them.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It's not an easy question to answer, but I think you gave us all a really, really good insight. Thank you so much, Kelly. Okay, I have another question. How about you? Wait, hold on. Let me get the question up first. Here we go. Okay, say, how do individuals know they need help, like mental health, mental therapy?
Yep, I think I can certainly answer that. So often, individuals, if they have the awareness, know that they need help, then obviously that'll be great. But a lot of the times where people find themselves sort of struggling or experience some sort of infrequencies, and that says a lot about actually, it might be good to talk to someone about. Could be your mental health or could be something else that's something sort of it's disturbing you. So when we talk about therapy, it's a series of sort of counseling sessions where a counselor or a psychologist do a series of skills training and all that to an individual, which is quite different from coaching. So here, I would sort of like to emphasize coaching. A common question about coaching is, do you have to have a problem? Is that something that I need to sort of come in and bring about the problem and all that? And I think coaching is often treated or thought about as some kind of more like a skills-based thingy to solve some kind of problem. And I would like to emphasize that it's not the case. So a mental health journey, or if you want to start mental health therapy, it certainly depends on what sort of problems you're having, whether it's about mental well-being or mental health disorder. Mental health journey looks different for everyone. For some, could be a pathway to recovering from a mental illness. For others, could be just managing and living with a mental health condition. And I think overall, whether it's coaching or therapy, it requires individual to learn about positive coping mechanisms and how to change their behavior over time. So I think the best thing to do when you realize that he or she needs help is to actually start the conversation. And I think that's also what Intellect's trying to promoting, to just be open, remove the barrier, remove the stigma, to get everyone to talk about how you're feeling, what you've been struggling.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that answer. That's really, really helpful. We have a lot of other questions. I'm just picking some. I'm going to piggy off what you just said, because I think it went in the same direction, which is, I don't really have any pressing issues to discuss that I can think of. What is the benefit from speaking to a coach or a counselor? So this is a really, really great question, I think, because a lot of times we think, okay, I need to wait until my problem is there, or maybe even until my problem is big enough before it's okay to see somebody. Or we imagine we have to walk into that first session, we have to sit down, we have to say, I want to solve this. But that's really not how it is a lot of times. A lot of times, if you're just interested in that, if maybe you're interested in self-awareness, maybe you want to learn about yourself, maybe you want to learn about how you influence other people, how other people are influencing you, anything like that, just an interest can be enough. And you can start that session out by saying exactly that. I think every provider will be happy to have somebody who says, you know what, I don't really know what I want to talk about today. I just want to explore. Why don't we just start anywhere? And then they will guide you. And then you'll talk about all different kinds of things. I mean, up until, recently, I think every single person could talk about struggles from the pandemic, maybe still ongoing, right? And you can just talk about anything there. You can also talk about that growth space. Maybe everything's running great, but you also want to add more. You want to stretch a bit more. Maybe you want to develop your career. Maybe you want to really work on that healthy habit that you've been trying to set up for a while, but it hasn't quite worked out. Or it can really go in a lot of different directions. So as long as you have that interest and you're curious about it, and maybe you have the opportunity from your employer or from your healthcare provider, I think it would be really interesting to just start a first session, say straight up, oh, I don't really know I don't have a problem to work on. That's okay. How else can we explore this? And then you can really go also from a perspective of self-awareness and self-exploration. Okay, let's see. We have so many good questions. How about this one for you, Kelly? Do professionals who have suffered from mental illness themselves make better counselors?
Yeah, I mean, great question. We certainly don't want to pigeonhole anybody. Everybody has their own mental health struggles, whether it's self-doubt, self-worth, so people who have been diagnosed with mental illnesses, if they're on their road to recovery and they feel like they can study and be able to have those degrees behind them to be able to change other people's lives, absolutely, why not? It comes as an academic, I can tell you there is certainly a boundary where people with mental health illnesses will come to sign up because they feel like they want to learn more about their own mental illness. If you are not on a road to recovery, it certainly doesn't make for a good counsellor. So, we can't tell someone who has broken their leg that they make a better doctor. But if everything's healed, if everything's in its place, if you have your own supervision, if you have your own counselling, which many of us do as well, because we believe in a holistic overall picture of mental health, then there's nothing to stop you from becoming a counsellor. Would it make you a better counsellor? I mean, look, I can say honestly that the counselling and the psychology services that I have encountered through my studies certainly give me tools, techniques, and tips to be able to implement with my clients. But everyone has the ability to be able to help somebody. I think really what makes a good practitioner is the love of community services, the love of changing lives, and wanting to support other people, and anybody can do that.
Amazing answer. Thank you so much for that, Kelly. Okay, we gotta keep going. I had a whole, we wanted to talk a bit more, make a bit of a chit chat, but there are so many great questions here. So let's jump right into the next one. So I want to hear from you. What are the pros and cons of online mental health services compared to in-person meetings? What are your views as professional practitioners? That's a really tricky one.
Yeah, surely. I think a big difference sort of comes in where I would say in-person meetings has a lot to do with, verbal cues, body language, how we perceive a client. A lot of them actually come from the body language. Whereas online mental health service, often we have to use, for example, word-based, video-based, or sometimes even phone call. And I would say the pros and cons will be, for pros will be obviously the technology now it's very advanced. You can literally access to mental health service anywhere, anytime with your own device. Whereas in-person meetings, excuse me, a lot of the times clients will have to attend to a counseling service and go to that particular place, and could be a lot of time spent during the traveling rather than the actual counseling meetings. So a lot of the times where as professional practitioners, I think it depends really with the clients. So some of the clients are quite shy. they can be quiet, and they wouldn't be that open to you at the first place because they're trying to get to know you, they're trying to get to know about the service. So reaching out through online mental health services sort of make them feel more secure, make them feel more open to talk about things. But some people are sort of we sort of think of them as more extrovert, where they are very happy to meet new people, including new counselors, therapist, or a coach. And they would just, it really depends on your style. If you're looking for something that's new to you, that you may not have access to mental health service before, you may consider, online service. Whereas if you have, for example, couple therapy, a big group of meeting that involves children or the other family members, it'll be great if you can attend an in-person meetings. Now, when it comes to coaching, I think with Intellect, again, because of the nature of coaching, really, it's to empower clients. Often we focus on the present, we focus on the future. We don't really attempt to diagnose or treat individuals with, for example, mental or behavioral health issues. So really, if a mental health service can be assessed without, really going into thinking that, oh, you might come because you've got a mental health disorder, therefore we need a diagnose. A lot more often, online mental health services are very much more, I think, welcoming and more user-friendly to individuals. So yeah, thank you for the question.
Thank you so much for taking time to answer that in such detail. I really, really appreciate it. Kelly, do you have anything you want to add on to the whole in-person versus online sessions?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're talking about a time where technology is just booming, and the pro to online mental health services is you have access to this anywhere, everywhere. Anyone has access. And that's sort of branching out and making sure that everybody has the same opportunities to recover in their mental health that wouldn't ordinarily be happening. And we're talking about people who might be working away, people who live in regional and remote areas. They're very different. Pros and cons are probably not the right word, because any mental health service is better than no mental health service. So if the only service that you have is online, grasp it.
I love that. Thank you so much. I think it definitely applies as well to the clients that we see on the Intellect app, because the Intellect app is completely virtual. So we can allow people who speak specific dialects to connect with those providers, whether they're in the same region or not. So it really kind of connects people and can give us this kind of stable rhythm. Maybe every Thursday at 3 p.m., that's who you see, no matter how, all over the place the rest of your life is. Maybe you're traveling and so on. It's still going to be the same time. It's going to be the same little virtual room, so to say. But of course, a lot of people really also enjoy in-person meetings. And they're like you say, there, like both of you mentioned, there are ups and downs to both, depending on our personal experiences as well. Okay, let's have one last question. I'd love for all three of us to answer it. I'll go first with a couple of ideas. What sort of preparation should I do before I go to the coaching session? Because I'm just thinking there's so many things to say. So I feel like we all three have to chime in here. I think if we're thinking about a very first session where it's a first time meeting your provider, it's really good to think about some questions that you want to ask them. What are you interested in? Do you want to hear about their background? Do you want to hear about what other clients they tend to see, like what they specialize in, what kind of methods they use? Do they give you homework in between sessions? Are you happy with that? Do you rather not want to have that? And so you can kind of consider what you want to know about your provider. And if possible, jot down your questions. A lot of times I talk to clients and they say, I really wanted to ask you something on Wednesday and I just forgot. So if you can write it down, even just in your phone, that's great. And then, of course, a little bit of self-exploration. You can think about things like, why are you interested in having this first session set up? What are the things that you definitely want to mention to your provider? What are some things that maybe you're not comfortable with talking about right now? A lot of times you can just mention that and say, hey, this might be a topic for later, but I don't want to touch it right now. And then that's okay as well. Those are just a couple of ideas off the top of my head. How about you two? What do you think?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Look, I actually really love it when clients come and they say, I'm just trying it out. I don't know what to expect, because it's kind of like a blank slate. And then we can explore so many opportunities. But actually preparing to go in, people who have a clear idea of what their goals could be. I'm a solution focused, goal orientated therapist. So when they come in and say, these are the goals I want to do, they feel unachievable. Let's just peel it back and start from scratch. So preparation is definitely a great way to start off your sessions if you have a really clear vision in mind. However, as I said, I love those. I'm just trying it out. I don't know what to expect. We get a little bit of a spill of what we do and how the nature of the sessions work and what they can expect from us. And just some of that morale boosting as well. I certainly have clients who we talk a lot about self-care, and I have a lot of clients who say, well, this is my self-care. I do this for me. I do this to recalibrate some little things that might be going on. You don't need to be in crisis to be able to start this process. The process is about making sure that you get the support that you need in whatever area that might be. So in terms of real preparation, making sure that you have a glass of water standing by, potentially some tissues, you don't know what we're going to be tapping into, and just a really relaxed, open attitude. These are not quick fixes. These are certainly a journey, not a train station, but yeah, if you're open to the outcomes, these therapy sessions can just absolutely open you up to be the best version of yourself.
I would just like to add on Kelly's point. Kelly and Linda make a very good point here. And I think in coaching sessions, client often doesn't really know what it is about, because it's kind of something that they usually haven't encountered before. And actually, clients can work together with a coach to sort of overcome life challenges with them. And I think coaches are there to help clients to see the potential. So we're there to, make them feel empowered to deal with their problems. It could be about mental health, mental well-being, or really just more of a personalized end-to-end care, because we're there to sort of encourage them to take a proactive role to, take care of themselves and their needs. And I think the scope of coaching can be a lot wider than what we think, just as Kelly's mentioned. So we can talk about, for example, our daily life struggles, the interrelationship problems, could be self-care routine, and extra. So it's not just about mental disorder. We encourage clients to talk about the conditions, as we would be open freely to talk about our physical health. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I think combined, we have like a really, really long list for people on how to prepare now. Thank you so much. I know there are a lot of really, really great questions in the chat. I'm seeing them all here, but I think we'll have to wrap it up here. That being said, so first of all, thank you so much to both of you for sharing your thoughts and experiences here with us today. And thank you so much for the audience for your really interesting questions. I wanted to cover them all. Honestly, we could be here for 3 hours. But if you want to hear more from the three of us, you can definitely email us at support@intellect.co. Or if you want to hear more from our providers, make sure to join our next session a bit later at 1:30, which is called Tinder and Intellect. It's a combination of the two of us. How exactly do I live, laugh, love? That'll be at 1:30 later today, so you can meet a few more coaches. But I just hope to see all of you again. We will make sure that your questions that are in the chat now that we couldn't answer, that they will be answered, and we'll send it all out together. So thank you so much, everybody. And that's all the time we have now. We will move to a quick break, 25-minute break, but make sure that you're back here at 1:10 for a very important topic, which is suicide prevention. We will hear from the Chief Executive of Samaritans of Singapore about what's fact, what's fiction, and how we can all work together to support those in distress. Thank you so much, everybody, and we'll see you in the next session.